All right, Taurus 856 unboxing again. And what I mean by again is I sent it back to Taurus because I was having some issues with it, and they sent it back. And I wanted to kind of give my experience I had with Taurus and what they kind of said to me and stuff like that. So here's my paperwork here, and the gun came back kind of like this with the zip tie in it for some reason. I actually cleaned it up today, but my main issue I had with this revolver is I would pull the trigger, and if the weight of the cylinder was unbalanced, such as if I had one round in it and it was down here, it would continue to not rotate while the trigger was pulled. So my main issue with this gun is, and they didn't quite fix it right, you pull the trigger a little bit, just barely, just put a little pressure on it, and the cylinder free spins clockwise or counterclockwise. Completely free spins because the cylinder stop completely drops free into the frame. Now I actually brought out the 605, which has been a pretty good gun from Taurus, and when I do that, you know, we don't get free spin. It's hung up on the hand. The hand is hitting the ratchet enough it's not going to spin back clockwise. So this revolver is actually right, and I can see a distinct difference here, the way that the hand or the cylinder stop goes through, as where this cylinder stop, it just completely drops free and this free spins. So I'm going to see if I can replicate this problem. Now basically I sent it about 3 weeks ago, and I got messages back through emails that there was nothing wrong with it. And I said, that's not correct. It's, you know, it's not rotating. And what they were telling me, I sent a video in, and what I was told was that the gunsmith reviewed it, and I was doing this in my video. I was short stroking the trigger, me. I was going like this, and I was letting off the hammer, and that's why the cylinder wasn't rotating. And I kept saying, no, that's not right, and they kept coming back with that, no, I'm wrong and they're right. And that's when I got kind of frustrated. I said, you know what, fine, send the thing back to me. I'll discuss this issue with my subscribers, and we'll talk about it, we'll laugh about it, etc. So basically it's got kind of the same issue here. Now I'm going to try to get it to repeat this. I'll put just a little itty bit of pressure on the cylinder here, and it's turning, and once in a while, it's not always easy to repeat it, but once in a while it won't turn. And since I cleaned it up, it's actually not doing it. But it was a really bizarre phenomenon where it would just sit there and not turn. So I had to cut into this video right away into it because I wasn't getting the issue to happen, and I went through the rest of this, you know, testing video okay, I had okay results, but I wanted to kind of show the phenomenon. So I have 2 loaded rounds here, and the issue is when these rounds are on the right side of the gun, where we're going counterclockwise with our rotation, the weight of 2 rounds just left in the gun will actually make it pull down where it's not going to fire. So Taurus was saying I was short stroking this thing, so there's 1 empty chamber. Pull it up. Now we have the next 2 rounds are lined up to be the next shots. I'll come around this way. There's a safe direction over that way too. I just want to get it from both sides here. And I was told that the gunsmiths, people that do this professionally, could not get this to happen. Now, if I just really push it fast, they'll fire, because it's something with the momentum that's like the cylinder will catch enough momentum. So, you know, they'll fire under momentum. But when you're trying to, and it's clear now, when you're trying to really get those slow shots going, it's not going to work. And now that the bullets are gone out of those cartridges, now it'll turn. But just that, you know, 300 grains worth of lead, it was enough to prevent that from turning. So after I basically said I was going to talk to my subscribers, they kind of went silent for a while. I didn't hear from them. And then all of a sudden, like a week later, they said, we're sending it back. And I got the paperwork here, and it's very interesting here. Your firearm has been repaired under our lifetime repair policy. Area of concern, cylinder, NPF. I looked that up, and I think that means no problem found. Barrel, replaced existing. So originally, when I went back and forth with them, they did not do anything, and after I complained, they replaced the barrel. And under close inspection, I kind of see what they did here. The forcing cone is a lot longer, and it's chamfered. So obviously there was an issue going on. So basically it's longer, so it's pushing the cylinder further back to catch that the hand hitting the ratchet. And I did the gap here. I checked it today. It was 0.002, which is extraordinarily tight, which means if it gets dirty or if you fire a lot of rounds through it and the metal heats up and it expands, it might hang up and not rotate at all. But very interesting that they chamfered it. You're not going to be able to see it on camera, but they did, and definitely a longer barrel, which when I put that little bit of pressure on there, it comes in contact with the ratchet just a little bit sooner than it did. So that's kind of a cheap way to fix it, I guess, and I don't mean inexpensive, I mean cheap. So I got this back saying they replaced the barrel here, and they sent some target here. Basically, it says that they did 12 rounds of Winchester 130 grain full metal jackets. So I'm going to put it through its paces today. I'm going to hit some steel, but I'm also going to hit some paper over here. You might have noticed over here I have some watermelons. Reason for that is I'm going to do a little bit of quick ballistic test between 9mm and 38 Special. And the reason for that is because I've always kind of thought that a 3-inch 38 Special is the perfect gun. Not specifically a Taurus 856, but 38 Special and a 3-inch revolver is perfect because a lot of people say, well, you get 30-57, it makes more sense. In my opinion, no, I think that 38 Special makes more sense simply because 38 Special is shootable. Very few people, even including myself, can shoot 357 Magnum well through any type of snub nose barrel, even 3-inch even. So 38 Special is about where you want to be for shootability. It recoils about like a 9mm. You get more velocity with a 3-inch versus a 2-inch. A little more muzzle weight. It's just a very perfect balanced place to be for a revolver. Is 38 Special and a 3-inch barrel. So I want to compare it to my 4-inch barrel revolver, and a lot of people, they get kind of upset when I do this. They'll say, well, that's a 4-inch and that's a 3-inch, that's way longer. Well, if you compare the gun sizes of a 4-inch auto to a 3-inch revolver, they're almost identical. And then when you measure how much barrel travel from the bullet nose out the muzzle, it's pretty much identical. So that's why they compare like that. That's why I compare a 4-inch revolver to a 5-inch auto, a 3.2-inch or a 3-inch semi-auto to a 2-inch revolver. That's just how they compare. So let me fire some rounds through paper here. I have some American Eagle. I have some wad cutters I did here. And what I was mentioning with this ballistic test, I want to do 38 Special plus P, Buffalo Bore 125 grain XTP versus a 124 grain 9mm plus P. I'm going to hit these watermelons and see if there's a difference between 38 Special and 9mm. I'm also going to run those through the chronograph to see what kind of power we're getting. So let me fire some rounds through this and see what kind of accuracy I'm getting and see if the issue I had is cleared up. All right, I'm about 7 yards from the target. I basically have some wad cutters. I loaded 3.5 grains of universal powder. Last time I used tight group, it was kind of smoky. So we'll see if this universal does, how well it does. Using wad cutters so we can clearly see impacts on paper. So 7 yards, we'll see if this problem's cleared up at all. All right, definitely shooting more centered. The last time I was shooting it, when I first got it, it was shooting like, from 7 yards, it was shooting like 8 inches high and 8 inches to the left. So there was definitely something wrong with that barrel. Run a few more here. All right, let me run some American Eagles. We'll see how those do. All right, American Eagle. Believe it or not, I've actually never fired American Eagle 38 Special lead round nose before. Of all the years I've been shooting, You might wonder about the speed loader. It's actually an HKS 10, meant for a 6-shot Smith & Wesson Model 10. So it doesn't fit this 856, but it's the closest I could get. So it's a little bit larger frame than what this is. So we'll see how that loads. But we have some 38 Special 158 grain lead round nose. See how these do. Yeah, the speed loader sticks quite a bit, but if you shake it, it'll actually work. So. All right, just kind of popping them off here. So I want to take a look at this. Just to kind of see how this is doing. Check that chamfering they did. Everything looks fine. Yeah, it does look like we have a little bit deeper primer strikes, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's, you know, obviously it's going to happen if that barrel's pushing that cylinder back a little bit further. So now that it's dirty, I wonder if it'll do that phenomenon. These are all clear. Even if I do what they tell me I was doing. All right, I'm going to shoot some steel with these and just kind of see what kind of like 25-yard accuracy I get, because that'll give me a better idea of the accuracy, if there's an issue with accuracy or something like that, because at that distance, if there's going to be an issue, it's going to multiply and I'm going to miss the target basically. So let me try some steel from 25 yards. All right, 25 yards from the target, full-size steel silhouette. I have 6 rounds of my wad cutters and 6 rounds of this American Eagle. If you're curious about the velocity, I just ran some through the current graph. These wad cutters, 148 grain, are 700 feet per second. I ran one at 701. That's exactly where we want. These American Eagle 158 grains are also at 700 feet per second. I ran a couple at like 704 and 708 feet per second. So we'll see how these wad cutters will do from 25 yards. A little bit to the right. That could just be me today. And we'll see how these American Eagle lead round nose will do. Aim for the same spot, center mass. See what they do. All right. You know, accuracy could just be me. I'm not really concerned at all about it looking a little bit to the right. It seems fine to me. So let's move on to that ballistic test, and I'll give my opinion on a 3-inch 38 Special and why I think it's pretty much like the best revolver option for carry. I really do. I think it's one of the best options you could have if you're not really sure where to go with something like this. All right, I'm just going to run a couple of rounds for the 4-inch 9mm with some 124 plus P, and we'll do the same thing with 125 plus P and the 3-inch revolver. So Buffalo Bore, 124 grain plus P, 9mm. 1194, 1168, and that's not bad. Now, if you might notice, I pocketed this 3-inch revolver very easily. So about the same bullet weight, 125 grain. Let's see what we got. 1157. 1171, so almost the same. And that's kind of my point on this. That's about the maximum you want to go in shootability for the average person. A 3-inch, you know, there's a little more recoil than a 9mm, but it's more like in the realm of 40 Smith & Wesson for the amount of felt recoil I felt in this. And this is a really light gun, so a 3-inch with some plus P, that's about as high as you want to go. If you went to a revolver that's 357 Magnum, it becomes really unshootable. So you have a lot of good options with the 38 Special if you want to go warmer than typical target ammo. And a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't make any sense to just do 38 Special only, especially in a steel gun. But a lot of people are not shooters, and this is something I've actually heard before. People say that I don't want a 357 Magnum because I don't know a whole lot about guns, and I'm afraid that I might somehow get 357 ammo in it. I might make a mistake at the gun store, etc. And that'll make me kind of nervous, and I might not be able to shoot it very well. Even if it's only 38 special ammo, you know, they're going to jerk those shots. So having something that can only chamber 38 special makes a lot of sense for people like that, but it also makes sense that generally the average person, even the average shooter like me, I don't really want to go beyond this as far as the felt recoil. And you're hitting energy almost identical to a 9mm plus P with the right ammo. Makes sense to me. So I'm gonna hit these watermelons with these rounds, these hollow point rounds, and we'll see if there's a big difference and what kind of damage it will do. All right, 9mm plus P watermelon, let's see what it'll do. Wow. Does a pretty good job. Let's try a 38 special and see how that does. All right, 38 special. One thing I always, like to point out to people is, you look at a 38 special versus a 9mm. Typically, you have a flatter nose on that 38 special. So while that might produce kind of similar damage to 9mm when this has less power, when it has about near equal power, theoretically it should cause more damage. So 38 plus P, see what this will do. Right, so if anything, it's at least as powerful and as effective on watermelon versus 9mm. So my whole point here is, I think, again, the 38 plus P revolver, and one rated for plus P obviously, is going to be a really good option for a concealed carry firearm. And I'm just doing a once over with this gun. I don't see any issues here. So even though I don't think they fixed it right, it's an acceptable fix in a sense. Now, yeah, again, this is something I don't like. As long as we get some cylinder, that's the thing that we were having before, where even when you pulled it back a little bit like this, it would still spin freely. So that barrel pushing that back closer to that hand definitely does fix this. So that's what you get today. It's a Taurus 856 second unboxing. I think it'll hopefully continue to work for me. And my experience with Taurus is I've owned quite a few, probably about 8 Taurus firearms. However, some of those were trade-ins. Like, I sent it back, they sent me a new one. I sent it back, they sent me a new one. This is going back to 2009. And my overall experience is that 50% of the time I get a good gun, 50% of the time it needs repair. So my advice has always been to people that if you're looking for a first-time gun, a new gun for defense, don't go out and buy a Taurus. Buy something that's a little more reputable, because if you go out and buy a Taurus, you only got about a 50% chance of it working properly. That's not to say that even if they had this issue where it's spinning, that it's not going to rotate the second time around, but I'm just saying you don't want something like that. as your only personal defense gun. So a Taurus makes a good second gun. So if you already have a different gun that runs really well, let's say you're into revolvers, you have a Smith & Wesson, you know, let's say you got a Model 60, that's like a 3-inch barrel or something like that, and you want to just add this to plink around with, yeah, sure, go ahead. You might not have issues. If you do, you can afford the time to send it off and get it fixed. So, hey, second unboxing, that's what you get. So, as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.